So the season has come to an end. Manchester United have finished 6th on the lowest points total in Premier League history, conceded the most goals in Premier League history, and the first time in Premier League history, United haven't had a positive goal difference. It's not been good as it's did. We're going to go through a few of the key events of the season, get your thoughts on it, and find out exactly where this season has gone so terribly wrong for Manchester United. Just before we start, you can confirm that this has been an awful season for Manchester United.
I can confirm that.
So the premise is true. Let's start on August the 27th, 2021.
Oh my God, it started so well.
Manchester United re-signed Cristiano Ronaldo.
I remember that day now.
Yeah. That was
Went
pretty
like
ballistic, wasn't it?
rapid, yeah. It was a good day, that.
It was. And then on the 11th of September, United played Ronaldo in his second debut for the club. He scored twice in a 4-1 win over Newcastle. Just tell me.
When did we play Leeds? Was that the first game of the season?
Leeds was earlier than that in the season, yeah. But that was the sort of a real high, that 4-1 against Newcastle. Tell me your thoughts on what the season would hold after that 4-1 game.
I think what I said at the start of the season was I think we've signed well, we've signed quality, and we definitely did. Now, Sancho took a long time to adjust, Ronaldo had a bit of a dip in form, Varane was in and out of the team, but players that had propped us up last season, Bruno, Marcus, Greenwood to an extent, just shit the bed. Cavani, just completely checked out. Maguire. They just completely checked out. So even though we brought a little bit of quality in, everything else went to shit. And for whatever reason, I don't know if we'll ever know the full true reason of the extent of why. I think I'd said at the start of the season, my expectations was, do I think we've taken a step forward? I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'd safely say we did not.
No.
But I still thought we were going to get overtaken by Chelsea because I thought Lukaku coming to Chelsea, the form he'd just shown at Inter, I thought he'd turn the corner after what had happened at United, and I thought he was just going to... I genuinely thought he was literally all they needed to add. It was creating chance after chance after chance.
Werner was missing him.
And he was missing him. And Lukaku's your ultimate flat track bully. He's just going to start fucking banging them in, and they're going to be a part of this 3-horse race. And I thought we might have took a step forward, but finished lower down. Yeah. And I thought we were going to finish probably 4th.
3 days after.
And I was wrong.
Yeah, 3 days after the Newcastle game, we lose 2-1 to Young Boys in the Champions League. Quickly bringing us back down to earth there, wasn't it? And then 8 days after that, we lost 1-0 to West Ham in the League Cup, going out in the third round of that. This was where the sort of reality of, I think we'd squeaked past Wolves earlier in the season.
Did we rotate a little bit for Young Boys, and then it was like Donny and them boys, wasn't it, for the West Ham game? Yeah.
Is this where the season started to go, hang on a sec, this isn't what I thought was going to happen here? Because obviously still Solskjaer.
But it was still a little bit out of sync with what was happening in the league. It was still really positive in the league, largely positive in the league. I think what comes next is where it starts to go a little bit west.
So the 16th of October was the 4-2 loss to Leicester. Then we sort of last minute winner against Atalanta.
we had to come back against Atalanta because it was a bit more, almost looked like a little bit of a Groundhog Day of the way it was going against Atalanta, and then
Ronaldo scores the late winner, and then
you have that Liverpool
4 days
game,
after that, United lose 5-0 to Liverpool at home,
and that was awful.
Which basically not only was obviously that result telling of just the difference in the two teams. When Liverpool had barely scraped top 4 last season, mostly due to injuries, we thought we might be better than these. That really went, you're not, and it's not even close. But it also put Ollie in the seat of, oh shit, he's going to go here, isn't it? Because, you can dribble and you can lose to Young Boys. You can't get beat 5-0 at home to Liverpool.
It wasn't just losing 5-0, and this is a mad thing to say, but it was like, you can have a game where the opposition has like 3 on-target shots and they've gone in, and you go, do you know what? We didn't deserve that. Yeah. We absolutely deserve that. That 5-0 against Liverpool, we got exactly what we were worth. We created nothing. Absolutely nothing. We didn't threaten them. It was easy for them. And the manner of which I've never been as hopeless watching a United team. And the weird thing is, there's a whole revisionism going on about Ollie at United. But in those bigger games, tactically, he would have something up his sleeve. He would make us hard to beat. And he had a way of us playing on the counter that produced decent results on the large part.
We beat City 3 times last season. We beat Chelsea 3 times last season. That's not easy to do. That's not a clueless manager doing that.
And that still gets painted with those things. But the manner of that Liverpool defeat was like. Now, you could have almost said he got this one wrong, but then we saw it again, and we saw it at City, and we saw it multiple times.
Well, so that was the 24th of October. Then on the 6th of November, a couple of weeks later, we lose at home 2-0 to City. Not as big a scoreline, but again, that similar feeling
the game was...
No, it could have been 10-0 for how close it was.
Yeah. The scoreline was irrelevant in the Liverpool and the City games. Yeah. The only thing that's relevant is it was goals to nil. Yeah. And it was not even a shred of fight from United. And you can analyse every single one of those goals and every single one of those chances that we conceded in those games and the chances we didn't create. And the things that you'll find is it wasn't one player. I think Maguire was particularly shit against Liverpool. But it wasn't just one player. It was a collective malfunctioning of the team. And you can have one game where the player doesn't perform or a certain player has a clanger and the manager often carries the can for that. But when you're having repeated collective malfunctions, that's on the manager to fix. And there was a lack of confidence that Ollie was going to be able to fix this. And I think at the time that he went, I think the hindsight of what Ollie was achieving with the squad, the new manager coming in, the only way I can sort of think about the way the new manager came in and was treated, it was a very supply teacher-ish.
Well,
you could have the best supply teacher in the world. Yeah. He's getting called a muppet, innit? And he's getting abused. And it feels like Ralph Rangnick was the supply teacher that might have had all the credentials to do whatever, and the class ain't listened to him.
No. Well, Solskjaer was sacked on the 22nd of November after that 4-1 defeat to Watford. Rangnick was then appointed interim manager on the 29th of November. And it took him 5 games to lose to Wolves. But after that, the sort of floodgates opened. We lost to Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. We got knocked out of the Champions League by Atletico Madrid.
This was like back end of Jan and Feb, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was the end of February. We drew in the first leg.
I wonder if there was something in some players, because we know Lingard and Cavani tried to get out in January and prevented from doing so. And I'm sure there was also others who decided their futures in January or around then as well. I wonder if there was just, like, you can suffer 2 or 3 dickheads in a squad, can't you? Or 2 or 3 people that are talking while you're trying to give a lesson, talking while, just sort of not giving it 100% attention. But if you've got like 8, 9, 10, it must have been so hard to deliver intense training sessions. It's disappointing because these are professionals. You would think that they give maximum attention and intensity till the last minute. It clearly wasn't the case. There was stuff coming out. And I did speak to a first team player at United at the time that there was all of this talk about cliques and stuff like that. And my actual wording to this player was, "Is it a lot of bollocks?" Because I thought it was a lot of bollocks. Yeah. And I was expecting him to go, "Oh yeah, it's blown up by the papers," and he went, "Nah, there's something in it." And then I was like, right, we got problems then.
Because the rumours were at that time that there was like an English clique, there was a Portuguese Portuguese speaking clique, there was the Spanish, it was basically, if you didn't have a little group, like a little prison yard, wasn't it? Like you have your little group that you're with, and if they talk to you, you tell the boss and he fights that guy. Like it felt like there was rumours of fighting, rumours of everyone just not really getting on with each other. And then let's keep going. Then March 6th, we lose 4-1 to City. Again, the second half of that was just as bad as any game I've seen this season. First half wasn't that bad, but we're still 2-1 down. Ronaldo then gets a couple of hat-tricks, which is sort of spoiled by the fact that we lost 1-0 at home to Atletico in the middle of March. Then we drew with Leicester 1-1 in April, and I want to just reel off a few results here, because that seems to me the start of when the storyline of the players have given up. So we draw 1-1 with Leicester in April. Then it's a 1-0 loss to Everton, who were, I think, in the relegation zone or 17th at the time.
Awful. That was one of the low points of the season. Everton are shite and should have gone down. Yeah. And that kept them up.
Yeah, awful. Then we won 3-2 against Norwich, but only because Ronaldo scored another hat-trick. They had loads of chances. A 4-0 loss to Liverpool. A 3-1 loss to Arsenal.
Pathetic.
A 1-1 draw with Chelsea.
That one with Chelsea. Chelsea was shit that game and all. And we just had nothing.
Then we beat Brentford twice in a row. And then we lost 4-0 to Brighton and 1-0 to Crystal Palace to see out the season. Rennick's record ends as 11 wins, 10 draws, 8 losses, a 37.93% win record. I think the worst of any Manchester United manager ever.
Yeah, and it'd be unfair to lump it all on him. I mean, there's some of it on him. There's some things that I think he made errors in team selection, tactical errors I think he's made, but that's not all him.
No.
Those 8 losses cannot all be pinned on him, and those 10 draws cannot all be pinned on him. There's been a bit like what we saw under Ollie. There was collective malfunction under some of the players. There was a clear lack of effort. And also, I've seen some people questioning his team selection in some of the last few games, but he's had like 11 fit players for about a month. You know, and I question the veracity of some of those injuries, but no, he's definitely had a hand in it. But I think to pin it all on him, it isn't like that. Ollie didn't get sacked.
No.
Let's be honest with ourselves.
So looking at
1 win in the last 5, is it? Something?
Yeah, something like that. So, is this the worst season you've ever seen from Man United?
In match going, yeah, I think. I started going in 1990. I think 89, 88, 89, something like that, or even 89, 90. We spent times in the relegation zone or in around the relegation zone.
Yeah.
I think when we lost City 5-1, I think we was both in the relegation zone at that point. It got pretty good after that, very quickly after that, really. It feels like it's going to take a very, very long time because the sheer number of issues that we have. Yeah. But if you look at what Newcastle have just done, I think they was on 5 points when Eddie Howe took over, exactly the same as Norwich. Norwich had just been relegated with 22. Yeah. Was it 11, 12 games he took them over in? So it wasn't quite halfway at the time. But it was over a quarter of the season in. And they had 5 points, and they finished on 49. 49. He's had 44 points in 26, 27 games. Yeah. It's not bad going, that.
No.
For a team that I would love to have seen gone down, especially with the circumstances being what they are. Yeah. You're going to have to look over your shoulders to that. Have they got a better goal difference than us?
Yeah. No, sorry, their goal difference is far worse than ours.
Oh, right, yeah, that must have been weighed in at the start of the season then.
Yeah.
We had some stinkers, obviously. There was a few games where we had our fucking asses handed to us, obviously. We've got Europa League, so we've not even managed to escape that. I'd rather us finish 8th and not have to deal with that. I do think people underestimate the difficulty of imparting a style of play. There are limited numbers of training sessions that you can have a week. Some of them have got to be recovery for obvious reasons. Some of them have got to be tactical ones, focusing on your opposition. Yeah. You're going to have ones where all the players have just pissed off for international duty. You've got the World Cup in the middle of next season. There's so many dramas of getting this team correct. You're going to have to make sure your transfers need to be wins, and transfers are 50%. There's a good chance that 50% of the transfers that you bring in are going to be shit.
That's if you're doing all right.
That's just bang average. And to be honest, I think it takes you a while to get above average. I don't think anyone comes in and gets bang on. I don't think they know the team, and I don't think they know the requirements enough in their first season to get the transfers right. Klopp's early transfers, I think, was maybe 1 in 3, 1 in 4 was successful. Lately, it's more like
3 and 4.
3 and 4 seem to be successful because he knows the team and he knows what he's looking for. He knows what to add into this team, and he can afford to be picky. When you've got 50 things to buy, you're going to take less care than if you've got one thing to buy. You know, if United needed a defensive midfielder and every other position was flawless and we had backup in those positions, it'd be so easy to just go and be making the longest, most intensely scouted list of defensive midfielders ever, and taking your time to really select the one you wanted before you go, do you know what? And is he going to cost 100 million? Doesn't matter, it's the last piece of the jigsaw, spend it.
Van Dijk, Howson.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, when you go, we know we need Bosch and everything else is kind of all right, but United go, like, is there a position that you, like, I think that you could argue every single position in the squad.
Yeah.
Do we need any left wingers? Probably not. Do we need a right winger? Yeah. Do we need a striker? Yeah. Do we need midfielders? Yeah. Do we need defensive midfielders? Yeah. Right back? Yep. Left back? Yep. Centre half? Yep. Goalkeeper? Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now, on one hand, it should mean it's easier. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, it means that, the mistakes are going to be costly. And it's going to take 3 or 4 years, I think, to get it to be a proper challenging team. But you can do it. You can turn, the rock can be changed, especially when I think so many players are leaving. Yeah. That will reset the culture on its own.
Yeah. There's a vacuum there that Ten Hag's personality can fill, even if the players who are currently there don't. There's enough changing where you can go, this is radically different to how it was 12 months ago.
You bring in the young players that have got the right stuff about them, and there are some that have got the right stuff about them. You bring those in. You had a couple of players that got character. I see him wanting to bring in a Timber or a De Jong because they know what he's trying to do. And if he's got a couple of allies already in the dressing room, players that have played for him, worked under him, and even Donny van der Beek could end up finding his role inflated above his ability because he's a manager's player. You see this all the time. People go, managers got the favourites. Yeah, they fucking right they do. Absolutely, of course they do. Because they're the players that are going to put the other players right when they're fucking deviating from the plan. Because the manager lives and dies on his plan. And I think if he's got 3 or 4 players that will correct the course for everyone, there's not enough leaders in the United team. And we talk about that all the time. But leaders isn't just shouting at people. Leaders are the ones that are playing to the game plan and telling you that's not what we fucking discussed. Yeah. We didn't talk about that. We talked about this. This isn't the plan. This is the plan. And 4 or 5 players that are doing that on the pitch, you'll start to see the plan. If you only got one guy going, lads, fuck it, what are we doing? It's going to be a much harder transition to a new style, a very demanding style of play.
Do you think that Ten Hag is the right person to oversee this change? Because, like you said, even without him bringing anyone in, there is going to be anywhere between 6 and 10 different faces in the dressing room just because of how many people are leaving. Do you think Ten Hag is the right man for that?
Don't know. I think bringing Steve McLaren in is going to be an astute one. Sounds like they've got a really mutual, respective relationship. I think someone doing the administration and gut checking almost is a big role at United. I think there's so much to being a Manchester United manager. Jose Mourinho didn't know. He came from Real Madrid and was shocked at how big United was. Louis van Gaal's been at Bayern Munich, Ajax, Barcelona, shocked at the commercialisation of Manchester United. So I think having someone like Steve McLaren who knows what this place is meant to look like when it's successful, and it isn't just a jobs for the boys thing. This is Ten Hag's guy.
Yeah.
Ten Hag was his assistant when they won the league.
Yeah, he's not like he's never met him before and they're going, have you ever heard of this guy who won a treble? Well, no, I know him anyway. And he just so happens to have won a treble. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important that it's Ten Hag led.
Yeah.
And he's bringing him in. And I actually think, from what I can gather, I think Steve's going to be doing a lot less of putting the cones out and talking people through the session. I think Mitchell van Gaag's going to do that. But I think someone that's trusting that you can bounce ideas off, or someone that you can go, is it right that 4 other lads have to go and do a fucking MUTV thing every day? No. All right, cool. Because the media department runs United. The commercial department runs United. Like, you can't do training today. We've got to do fucking Casiello del Diablo or fucking showing people around Carrington. So can you just do like a mock 5-a-side? No, fuck off. Yeah. And someone that's got the authority or at least the knowledge, Steve McLaren has probably got a direct line to Fergie. Some people don't like that. I do like that. Because from what I've seen, the relationship of Fergie and Rio, I mean, he FaceTimes him, which I think is the most granddad thing ever.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah, it is. And he holds himself right in the bottom of the fucking screen like that as well, so it's just all Sky. But I think if Steve McLaren's going, Alex, the fucking media department's asked this, like, do you think we should push back on that? Yeah, fuck off. Like, I think having that direct line is useful. And everything I've ever heard about Steve McLaren is how respected he is for how technical his coaching ability is, and how warm his personality is. And on the downside of Ten Hag, the things I've kind of heard from players that have played under him is that he isn't the biggest personality. He's a bit of a fucking nerd.
Yeah.
And he's a bit detail heavy. So having someone that can, maybe someone even has got an English as a first language like Steve, Steve, it might be a benefit to some of the English players. Because the Dutch are a very, very fucking particular, very argumentative sort of coaching or way of coaching. And they have a very draining way of coaching because it's so fucking detail orientated. In the Johan Cruyff book, My Turn, which is the greatest name ever of a fucking autobiography, he talks about how, I think he mentions about Louis van Gaal when he came to Manchester, he would tell the players, this is what you're going to do. And then he expects the argument because Dutch players are going to fucking argue. Well, what about... And he goes, English players just go and do it. Yeah. He goes very robotically. He goes, whereas... and this is one of the reasons why the Dutch always fucking go tits up at a tournament is because they end up fucking having a row with each other and it doesn't quite work cohesively. And he goes, every single training session in Holland, you'll tell them what you want to do. And I said, well, yeah, but and what about... He goes, where in England, they're just not... No one's answering back and it's almost like they don't care. And I think sometimes the Dutch want that sort of enthusiasm and nerdiness about the way it's going to go in their sessions. So again, I think having someone like Steve in there, you know, two Dutch managers, manager and assistant, trying to tell Luke Shaw to fucking find the details of a rest defence, they might need someone like Steve McLaren to be like, yeah, just leave him alone. He'll get the bit he needs to get, or something along those lines. So
awful season this year, maybe some reason to be positive looking forward then?
Just be patient. I think patience is the biggest thing that we're going to need. Yeah. There's so much needs fixing. My phone's going mentally, by the way. There's so much needs fixing that I don't think you're going to do it in one summer. United will not be challenging for the title next year.
No.
Not unless there's another fucking glut of injuries at City and Liverpool and Chelsea and potentially Spurs. Yeah. United have got a fight on our hands to be the fourth best team in this country. We are not that at the moment. You know, we are barely level with West Ham. We are closer to fucking West Ham than any other team in the league. We've got a fight to get above Arsenal and Tottenham, and then we can start looking at Chelsea, and then you can start looking at City, and then you can start looking at Liverpool. We ain't there yet. So look, could it happen in 1 year? Yeah, it could, because football can be like that sometimes.
Because Leicester.
Look, City have lost 3 games this year and drawn 6. You could win the league by beating everyone Spurs down.
Yeah.
And losing all of them games to them at the top or not winning any of them games at the top. But do you believe United have got that level of consistency in them? Have they? Fuck.
Right, that's going to be all from us. United and arguably the worst Premier League season we've ever had. Some stats that are the worst in the club's history, let alone Premier League history. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Steve, for going through the season, as difficult as that may be at times.
Did we concede more than Brentford?
We conceded more than Burnley, Steve. That's going to be all from us. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hit like on this video, and we'll see you in a bit.